All right, everybody, welcome back to Westworld. We are on season 2, episode 7, Les Escorches. No, Ecorches. It's a French term meaning a painting or a sculpture that is basically the pulled back version showing the musculature of like a person. And you can see a lot of that in this episode, this fantastic episode. Okay, so to get started, I want to thank everybody for tuning in last week. I know I complained at the beginning of the episode that nobody really watches this. And if you look at my other videos, I really like making Westworld, and my views were just so low that it just kind of bummed me out. And then this last episode, my views kind of blew up. I don't know if that's a fluke, but I'm still going to try to keep these videos shorter and more concise. So thanks for everybody who did watch last week. I hope I can do a good job this week. And there is the contest. Because we hit 75 subscribers, I am giving away a Westworld Season 2 poster. Looks pretty much like this. So at the end of the video, we'll talk about that. But right now, let's get into full spoilers. The episode was just on. Les Ecorches, like I said, it means pulled back the layers, seeing what's underneath. And this episode has a lot of cards put on the table for basically a lot of the show and a lot of questions people had. A lot of things are put on the table. A lot of things are pulled back. The curtain, however you want to put it, you get to see the musculature in a lot of what was going on the show. And so much of it is told through just about everybody. And there's only a couple of parts that I didn't really quite like in this episode that near the end. But for the most part, this episode was just goddamn great. And it's kind of hard to like talk about, like, where do you start? Well, I guess you kind of have to start with Bernard. And now he's, found out to be a host. You think that he's kind of caught. They want to blame the murder on Stubbs of Teresa from last year, but they find the secret room where they find all the different versions of Bernard that have been sealed up behind this in this secret room, and the jig is up for him. But they still, of course, Hall wants information from him. And so this is where we begin the flashback, where she's, trying to get what happened, how did he get here, like, blah, blah, blah. And we see that, Bernard in the machine talking to Ford, that Ford has been inside causing all this, like keeping the system from being able to, reset all these things, all these bugs that are in there, is because Ford's in there, his consciousness. And this is basically where we get a lot of our like exposition in our cards on the table and our peeling back and our filtering, where we get to see a lot of the things exposed. And that, yes, this place, this park, it's just a smokescreen. It's a nice little, Disneyland fantasy where people can play out to themselves, expose who they really are, and they get to have no consequences, things like that. But really, the people that go there are the experiments, and it's the hosts that are basically the the control group, and the variables are the guests. They are the ones being scanned. They are the ones being watched. The only reason they're watching the hosts is to make sure the hosts don't kill the guests, things like that, so that it's not even about like having the most perfect experience in there. They want to see how we are so that they can start designing us to start creating robot versions of us. And yes, this is what they've been talking about little by little, but this is now wide open, that this is the big plan. This was never about having fun in a park. It was all about living forever. And who would be those people? It'd be the wealthy. Maybe someday down the line they'd figure out how the poor would be able to become a part of this. I don't know. I don't know if they care. I mean, they say that in this future, peace has been found and all this other stuff. So I guess the next leap forward is to find like eternal life, the solution to death itself. But as Anthony Hopkins, who I'm so happy to see him back, he just owns every line, especially the line when he talks about how they haven't figured it out, and they're kind of like a basically he's kind of like the slow, you talking about like a slow child humming a tune that he think, like I can't remember how exactly he says it, but if you watch this, you know what I'm talking about. Just the way he can take these lines and just make, I mean, it was already a good line, but when he says it, it makes it great. And I love just the music around Anthony Hopkins. And he wasn't just a glorified cameo in this episode. We get to see that after he takes Bernard through this little journey of what he needs to show him, and that, he and Dolores were a part of, like, Bernard and him and her were down there for a long time. Like, all these different, they left them alone to, like, try to fool Dolores. All these things, all these experiments, and still coming out that people have not figured out how to survive, their minds being able to survive in a robot body. And so that's at least, a little, it makes me have a little bit more faith in the humanity, that we haven't been able to, that maybe our minds are too strong to handle artificiality. I hope that's how it all kind of comes out, because otherwise this is a pretty hopeless world. If this is how far we've come, like, I feel like that's really a major step backwards in the direction of humanity. Is that we become artificial. Some people might think that is an evolutionary step, but I think that that's a huge step backwards. Anyway, we also now have, Elsie eventually gets him out, or, well, she thinks he gets out, but really it's Ford coming out with Bernard. And for a second I wasn't sure if that's how it was going to be the case, but it is, and that's what creates, now the system is wide open, and it's definitely then solidifies that it was Ford's presence inside the machine, inside the programming, that was causing everything. Because as soon as he gets into Bernard, it all goes away. They can all get, access to things. But for these people, it's really too late, because Dolores has now infiltrated, the cradle, and, Tessa Thompson's Hale. I called her Hall, I think, earlier. She's got Dolores's robot daddy Abernathy in the chair and all this stuff, and they're trying to get the brain out, because now, everybody's asking these questions, like earlier, like with Bernard and Stubbs, like wanting to know, like Bernard knows, but Stubbs doesn't know, like what is the purpose of this? Why am I about to die? Why am I going to die for you people who clearly don't give a shit about me? At least he starts to see. I mean, she still lies to him. She still holds things back from him. It's not until Dolores finally comes in there and he gets his answers. And that look, like, oh shit, yeah, okay, this is what this is about. We also get, we get to see what happened to Teddy, like more of the bloodthirsty nature of him. And I really thought Tessa Thompson's Hale was going to get it with the blade. I do also, one of the parts that kind of bugged me was the guard and the host. She's in the room with all the backups, and he's doing that whole thing where he lets her get close and talking about, oh, well, and because this woman is, come on, this actress, whoo, bang zoom. If I knew she was a robot, though, that could break my neck in a second, I would not be letting her get close. I wouldn't be letting her talk at all. She'd be getting a bunch of bullets all over that perfect robot body. But in the end, it was necessary, because it proves that they didn't want their backups. They want to get rid of them. It's a way to show, tether, like as Dolores thinks, like it's breaking the tethers, it's breaking more of the ropes around our neck and the everything else, so they're free, so that this is their one and only life. It means more, I guess. But I don't want to forget about our other story going on here. And that is where Maeve is running from the Indian nation. I can't remember all of a sudden. I know it's something nation. Can't remember. But she finds that, gets in that little ghost town, hides there. And that's exactly where William and Lawrence are coming as well. They're Ghost Nation. And they end up in the same town, and it's basically the same scene from her other narrative where she's with her daughter hiding, and in comes William, the man in black, to kill her and her daughter. Except now, because William's paranoia and not knowing about, how far Ford's game goes and how to play it, and, thinking that Ford is constantly fucking with him the whole way through, he doesn't realize until it's too late that she's controlled by herself. And boom, he takes a round and he runs, and he still doesn't know that he has no idea how powerful Maeve has become. And I mean, he just starts, she takes control, she does her Wi-Fi powers, and, scrambles into the brains, and Ford takes like 2-3 rounds, and, other shoulder, leg, he is going down. These are real bullets. William is fucked. Even when Lawrence gets the drop on Maeve, Maeve is able to get Lawrence to remember the things that the man in black has done. And here it is. You're like, this is not going to happen. This isn't how Ed Harris goes out. You can't do this. Like, he is like, this isn't how I go. I started having like Game of Thrones situation going on where I'm like, oh my God, they're going to kill him. They're going to Game of Thrones Ed Harris. And he gets shot again. I mean, he takes 4 rounds, I believe, before he is miraculously saved by the cavalry coming in the cars. And this is what kind of broke my heart, because I was like, well, I want William to have he has to go, but you want him to have like a more fitting end. Now, if this had been the finale of the show, that would have been a perfect end for William. So I'm glad he wasn't killed here, but it was close, and it would have been like crazy. We would have all been talking about how, holy shit, the man in black is dead already. But then when they shoot up Maeve, they shoot Lawrence and they shoot Maeve, and her little fake robot daughter is running away. That broke my heart a little bit, because it's like Maeve came so far. She is really the one taking control of her life. And I feel like it's just, yeah. I'm so glad when Lee came out and said, she's not her. She, is not like the others. We need her. So thankfully, they were able to save her and get her back to the cradle. Well, during all this stuff going on, we've got Dolores, basically, and they've killed everybody, just about. Bernard is having Ford talking to him. He mercifully lets Elsie go. I thought he was going to force him to kill her. So Elsie's on her own. We've got Bernard sitting there watching all these soldiers kill each other while Ford talks in his head, which is great. All this stuff where Ford is talking, and the devil on his shoulder. Devil and angel on his shoulder, really. And how... he takes over and lets, it's like, it's not your fault, I'm going to do this. And we have Dolores and everybody basically racing to get to the valley beyond before the other ones can get there. And that's pretty much it. I'm missing anything, I'm sorry. But I mean, there's just so much going on, and I still want to make this kind of relatively a short video. But this was just an amazing video. It felt almost like a penultimate episode. Yes, we lost some interesting characters, like I said, the one host with the perfect. Oof. And we lost her. I thought we were going to lose Teddy here. We also lost Clementine, I think. And hopefully Maeve and Lee can get out of there, because that whole thing near the end, at least Dolores, lets Maeve choose her own way out. And I did like that Maeve brought up to her, is this how you justify what you've done to Teddy? All these things that Dolores says. Again, I feel like she's still going down the evil robot path. The one who, in the end, will have to be stopped. I don't think, but, if this ends with her, I can see this show ending with her, looking out at some horizon, some beautiful sunset in the real world as the regular robots have taken over or whatever. I kind of hope that it doesn't go like that, but that's how I kind of see it going. But I kind of feel like the only person who really deserves a happy ending in this is, Teddy, Maeve, and a couple other people, so I wouldn't mind seeing Elsie get out of here. But I think everybody's swat. And poor Bernard. Poor freaking Bernard. The guy, Jeffrey Wright, proves time and time again how much of an actor, an underrated, underused actor he is. He owns all the scenes. He was in Game Night, and he had a tiny role, and he killed. Jeffrey Wright, you deserve to get. I hope this character really gives him more parts, because he really deserves to be working a lot more. And that kind of went off the rails a little bit there at the end, talking about Jeffrey Wright. But anyway, fantastic episode. So here we are to get to the contest. So if you want a Westworld Season 2 poster, it really pretty much looks like this. It's a little bigger. It's like 24 by 36. All you got to do is be a subscriber and leave a comment. Any kind of comment. I don't care. And I will pick the name next week. And that person will have to send me their information. You can, however you choose to do it. Whoever wins, if they want to message me on, put a comment of their information on here. Otherwise, you will have to reach me at my Twitter handle, which is @yes8. Send me your information there for whoever wins. I will say it again next week to when there is a winner. So, anyway, again, fantastic episode. Thanks for all the support. We are at 81 subscribers. I think maybe even 82. Which means we're only 18 or 19 away from the next contest that we'll do. But thanks again for all the support, especially, this last week when my views went up for this video. It really helps me want to make better videos. So anyway, this is Rob from Smirking Gun Reviews, and we'll see you on the next video. And good luck commenting.